Will you just turn with me to the book of Genesis, chapter 41, verse 39. We read up to 41. Genesis 41, 39 to 41. We'll read a couple of verses and then we'll skip over to a couple of more chapters and read a couple of verses from there as well. Chapter 41. I look back at my life and I've made so many mistakes in my life, and I look back and I want to get hold of the people who over and over again came and said that you'll be like Joseph. I was like, did you have anything to do with this? I got over 5 words, including on the day of my engagement. He just happened to just preach to me and not to anybody else. And Uncle Luck, at that time, I was going on and on about Joseph and just prophesied this over on me, and then a couple of more people, I think Asha thereafter, and quite a few of them were. And I'm just drawn to this character and this chapter whenever I go through a tough time. And I believe that the Lord gave me some of the words to hold on to this, and I then try to relate myself, and I see that it's so very true. Okay. Anyhow, we all like the last part of it. What we don't like are the first few chapters and the first bit up to about 30 years what he had to go through. Okay. After 30 years, well, fine, God, give that to me first. Chapter 41, verse 39 to 41. Then Pharaoh said to Joseph, inasmuch as God has shown you all this is right after he interpreted all the dreams that Pharaoh had. And he's saying, there's no one as discerning and wise as you. You shall be over my house, and all my people shall be ruled according to your word. Only in regard to the throne will I be greater than you. Wow. And Pharaoh said to Joseph, see, I have set you over all the land of Egypt. And if you just go with me to chapter 45, verses 1 to 8. We'll read all this, okay? Then Joseph could not restrain himself before all those who stood by him. This is after he met his brothers. And he cried out, make everyone go out from me. So no one stood with him while Joseph made himself known to his brothers. Then he wept aloud. And the Egyptians and the house of Pharaoh heard it. Then Joseph said to his brothers, I am Joseph. Does my father still live? But his brothers could not answer him, for they were dismayed in his presence. And Joseph said to his brothers, please come near to me. So they came near. Then he said, I am Joseph, your brother, whom you sold into Egypt. But now, do not therefore be grieved or angry with yourselves because you sold me here. For God sent me before you to preserve life. For these 2 years, the famine has been in the land, and there are still 5 years in which there will be neither plowing nor harvesting. And God sent me before you to preserve a posterity for you in the earth, and to save your lives by a great deliverance. So now it was not you. Listen to this. So now it was not you who sent me here, but God. And he made me a father to Pharaoh, and Lord of all his house, and a ruler throughout all the land of Egypt. It's an amazing story. The more I read, the more insight I get, the more I want to look at it. But here's the thing. It's easy to get promises, but it's difficult to live it out. You know, it's easy when you hear things, you get excited. You know, this is what I have. This is where I'm heading. But the greater your promise, the greater your test. Because God has to ensure that you can handle the blessing at the end of the day. We all want the blessing when we start. We all want to be there in that place. But going through that process is the most difficult thing. And personally, when I speak, I would like to speak from what I've gone through and what I'm going through at that current status or state of my life. And since of late, we as a family have been struggling, going through stuff. And there have been all sorts of things that are sort of that we've been battling. Some we have battled wrong. Some we are battling okay. Some we yet to figure out. Okay. So I want to talk on this topic that nothing is wasted. Nothing is wasted. Because many a times we look back and we say, oh, it was a waste. I wasted all this. I wasted all this time. And I wasted so much of stuff. But I want to tell you that nothing is wasted. Even sometimes when it feels as if it was a waste. On this topic, okay? You can argue me out on this one, but just on these lines that I'm preaching today, okay? I'm preaching on the subject that nothing is wasted. And for Joseph, I see that, you know, suddenly he finds himself in a place where he does not even ask God for anything, and then God just gives him this dream, and he's so excited. He's so excited, just like most of us when we get a word, or when you're in church and somebody tells you, okay, can you just stand up for a moment and this is what you're going to be? Or just tells you, or, you know, I have this word from the Lord, and this is what you're going to be. And maybe you have had your own dreams, and this is exactly what has been said by so-and-so as well. Or you just said you have this sensing from God that, you know, this is where I have to be. And this is where I'm going to end up, right? And I'm going to achieve all these things, or I'm going to do all these things. And when you have this, you're excited, naturally, and you should be excited. If you're not excited, there's something wrong. So Joseph was excited, so he cannot keep it to himself. He goes and tells his brothers, and then everything starts from there. Or everything started even before that, when his father started favoring him over all the brothers. But then again, the moment he went and told his brothers, something happened. You cannot contain when God gives you something really, really strong and really, really big. You know it deep down in your heart what you want to do. Sometimes you cannot share it with anybody else, but you know deep down in your heart. Now, how many of you have things like this inside of you? Dreams, or you're yet to figure out? Okay. You don't have to answer me, all right? But you know deep down, God has something for me. You know this. You've been there. You've been in His presence. I'm talking to a lot of people who have been with the Lord. And you know that God has something. And suddenly you look back and say, this is not it though. I look at myself sometimes making desserts at 1 o'clock in the morning. I said, I worked as a tea taster. I have no idea making desserts. And I look at it and say, God, what's happening over here? This is not it. This is not what I'm supposed to do. Am I, Lord? I'm sure Joseph had all these things. I go back and say, okay, this man also went through the same thing, right? Okay, at least somebody told me, at least to some extent, that my life would be like Joseph's. Okay, I'm waiting for that 30th year, okay? Until then, you got to go through this. The most difficult part is going through this. The challenge is to go through this. We look at the story and we look at the end of the story and we tell, God made Joseph the ruler of Egypt, a Hebrew boy in a foreign land. He made him the ruler. Wow, God, praise you. You are great. You made him the ruler. Okay, what about the other 17 odd years? 13 odd years. What about that? What was he doing? Sometimes you may look at your life, I don't know which stage in life you are in, but you may look back and say, God, I don't see you working. Sometimes you try to get in front of God or get ahead of God to do certain things. I don't see you, God. What am I doing in this place? But all what you have gone through, every situation that you have faced in your life and you're facing and you're going to face in your life has something to do with where you're going to end up at the end. It is lined up for you. You may have to make choices. Make sure the choices are good. Choices are in line with the Word of God. But I strongly believe that even if you look back and say, God, I made some wrong decisions. I made the wrong decision. Yes, it was your decision. But God is still able to turn it around and make it a stepping stone for you to reach your destiny again. So don't you give up. Don't you come hard on yourself and say, okay, I'm not talking about, I'm not talking about myself. I am positive about the decision I made, okay? I left my company and I started something. I'm positive about that. I know that for sure. That's what God wanted me to do. But maybe you look back at certain things and say, God, I'm not sure. Maybe. But all what I want to encourage you today is that, okay, stop dwelling on that. Maybe I wasted my time in that workplace. Maybe I wasted my time doing this. Maybe I wasted spending my time with so-and-so, trying to build them up, trying to lead them to God, trying to lead them to Christ, and they are nowhere near. Maybe I wasted my time with these sort of friends. Maybe I wasted my time with my family. Maybe I wasted my time with my children, trying to do certain things, and they're not in the place where I want them to be. I want to tell you that nothing is wasted. Nothing is wasted. Because in God's hands, He's able to turn things around. And even the things that you think are going against you, even the things that you think has happened for the worst of you, He is able to turn it around to your advantage and take you through if you trust in Him. And you still fix your eyes on Him. That's the key. You may take your eyes off, on and off. Sometimes you cannot help it. You make mistakes. But come back. I'm talking to somebody to tell, come back. Honestly, I didn't have anything to tell you all today. I was asked to share the message I shared a week ago. And I didn't have anything. 4 o'clock in the evening. I just wrote these things down, okay? Don't judge me. It's not that I'm not preparing. I just didn't. But I believe that somebody, it's good when you don't prepare. Okay, don't get me, okay? Good because you are too. Okay. Now, don't take only this sense and answer. No, it's good when you don't prepare. What I'm saying is that you're dependent on God to tell you what you have to say, right? And somebody, I feel that God is saying, don't give up. Don't give up. For Joseph, in the pit, he learned what it means to be away from his family. In the pit, he learned what isolation really means. He learned in the pit what it means for your own brothers to stand against you. And he learned how he needs to forgive. I'm sure he was praying all throughout that time. I'm sure he was asking God, God, what is this? What's happening? They're going to kill me now. You never know how much you want to live until somebody keeps a gun in front of you and says, I'm going to kill you now. That's the time you go back, change your pants and come back again because you will never know. Sometimes we tell, okay, we'll die for you. Lovey-dovey talks. I'll do anything for you, my darling. If there's some thief in front, I'll be the one to go in front and say, kill me first. Yeah. But you never know what it means until somebody comes and says, I'm going to do this right now. to face death and not die. Say, they're going to kill me any moment. This is what my brothers are trying to do to me. Things happen when you face situations and circumstances. And God is teaching Joseph right along important points. He's teaching him principles. He's teaching him laws that he would need years later. In Potiphar's house, he learned how to manage things. He learned how to mingle with the Egyptians. He learned how the systems worked. Joseph could have turned back and said, "God, what am I doing here? I'm in a foreign land." And then when he feels or when he thinks that everything is going well, God's favor is upon him. He is appointed as the head of the house and everything is under him. Now he has another battle. And now, I would say that this is the most important. I believe that every single person faces this. May not be with a woman or a man of or opposite sex, but this challenge where when things are going right, when everything is good, to make that decision to still follow God and not compromise. Sometimes when things are bad, it's easy. But when things are going well, will you still not compromise? Joseph is facing this main test. And he learns what it means to run away from situations, from sin. And he's learning this. And he's learning the importance, or he's learning this principle. He's learning what it means to sacrifice. Give something. What you have earned maybe. You worked hard and you earned this. But to give it up for the sake of God. Because you don't want to do anything against God. You don't want to sin against God. And to be willing to still face the consequences of it. Yeah. Still be willing to face the consequences of it. I'm sure when he was in the prison, I mean, just imagine everything what you have built over the years, all what you have done. Everybody would have said, something would have happened. Some would have said, no, I can't believe Joseph did that. But some would have said, no, come on. He was in the house at the end. Master was not there. Nobody else was there. And he had to learn to close his ears to all the rejection, to all the rumors. Here is a test where he had to learn how he has to trust God even when people around him don't trust him. When people are saying, when they're falsely accusing him, how am I going to trust God and continue with God? If I was Joseph, in the prison, I would ask God, I thought it was just coming through, you know. I went through my tough time and I thought, okay, here is my break. And you have just appointed me. I'm in this place. I feel I can just picture my future. I am the head of this house now. I'm overlooking everything of Potiphar's. Everything is going well. I can just say, okay, here, thereafter I will do this, and then I will come to a certain place in life. And then things completely change. Would you still trust God? Would you still believe in God? Would you still do your best so that the head of the prison could still appoint you to overlook all the other prisoners? But all through this journey, through this process, God is teaching him to take a position in years to come. This is what we miss. When we go through tough times, when we go through situations where we cannot understand, we blame God, we blame the people around us, and we blame ourselves. And he said, it's all wasted. I just give up. Not knowing that God is still working behind the scene. Not knowing that God is still using all those things. You need to have this. You need to have pressure in life. Controversial? You won't get diamonds without pressure. You won't get a tree if the seed is not buried, put soil over it, and there's pressure on it, and it's in this dark place for a while. The seed will not die, and you will not have a tree coming out of that. It pushes you to think out of the box, so to say. Pushes you to think, okay, God, I want to see you in ways that I have not seen you before. What's happening? But your question, but your focus on God, when you ask God, He begins to reveal. He begins to just reveal. And years down, just as in this passage where Joseph is meeting his brothers at the end, and he's saying that, look here, it wasn't you. Oh, well, so many years, I thought, you all sold me. I thought you all did this to me. But now when I look back, I see it was God's hand behind all these things. I see that God used all these things, lined up all these things, so that I can come to this place and preserve all of you. The Word of God says that we are like clay in the potter's hands. All we got to do is to make ourselves pliable in His hands. What He makes out of us is in His hands. Some would have got a head start. Some had to struggle it through. But for each one of your calling, what you have gone through was a necessity. I look back at my life and I see personally, I see some of the hardships I have to go through to come to where I am. I see some of my friends, they didn't have to go through some of those stuff. But my calling is different to their calling. It's not that they are not called and I'm more called, no. But God has a separate plan for him. God has a separate plan for me. God has a separate plan for her. God has a separate plan for you. You're unique in God's hands. And the plans God has for you are different to each other. And for that, what you have gone through is necessary. And He's using all that, all together, to take you to that place. A nice teapot, I like to talk about tea anyway, a nice teapot with, if we could talk, could tell probably. I was there in the corner, nobody was looking at me, and this man suddenly comes and he just takes me over, just takes. Then he goes, and this strange looking place, it's dark and there's a lot of mud all around, and I'm just one of them. But then he puts me on this wheel and then puts water and then begins to turn me. I scream out and I say that, I cannot stand this because I feel dizzy. I cannot see what's happening, and he's just turning me. And it's so difficult, so dizzy, and I'm screaming out and saying, God, please stop, it's enough. I cannot stand here, I cannot stay here. And then he stops and he looks, and then he hammers me again, or he puts me down, and he just again does something, and he's turning me again, and I just can't understand what he's doing. And then he looks at me and he says, and then he takes me and he puts me inside this big furnace. I'm screaming out saying that I'm burning, can't you see? I'm burning. here. It's too hot. I cannot survive this. I cannot stand this. What are you doing? Right? And then a little while later he takes and he checks and he puts me back again. I'm burning here inside and I'm screaming and he just doesn't seem to understand what I'm saying. I'm burning up here and my color is changing. I used to be at least kind of fair, light brown, but now I'm different. and he takes me over and then, he's now beginning to color me. And he puts all kinds of paint on me and I can't smell it. It's ugly. It's sticky. It's like toxic on me. I can't stand this. I don't know what he's doing. He puts this stuff. And little while later, I realized that I'm on this shelf with so many other teapots and teacups that look beautiful. And I can say that I look beautiful too. But the process is always difficult. We scream when we go through it. And we lose hope when we go through it. And we struggle and we try to resist when we go through it. But it's necessary. But I just want you to know, keep your eyes open when you go through this. Because in everything, he's talking to you. He is 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 saying something. He is saying something to you, which is essential for you to understand and for you to get hold of or take hold of in order for you to use it later on in your life. Everything what you go through today, you go through for somebody else. Every single character in the Bible teaches us something. Every single person written in this book teaches us something. We learn from them. People are learning from us. They're learning from us. Your friends will talk about you. Your neighbors will talk about you. Your children will talk about you. Your parents will learn from you. They see you. They are seeing you. They are learning. They're checking something. God is speaking to people through your life. What he is speaking is what is important. That is based on the decisions you make. That is based on your connection with God. But in this tough time, just get hold of God. Know that he will not allow you to go through anything that you cannot handle. He will not allow you to go through anything which will not assist you for him to accomplish what he has already ordained for you. It's needed. You need it. So when you face tough time, God, I thank you. Victory is on my way. I stand on victory. This is temporary. This too shall pass. But I thank you that you will use this to take me to higher ground. I thank you that you will use this to lift me even higher. It's your attitude that matters. We work with people and sometimes we look at them and say, I cannot see them change. We've been working with them for 5 years, 4 years. God, I don't know what I need to tell them anymore. Continue. They need to go through it sometimes. And God is working on it. But you don't give up. I will tell myself, don't give up. I will tell myself, okay, keep talking to him. It's all right. Keep talking to them. It's okay. Or they don't answer your WhatsApp message. It doesn't matter. Keep talking to them. It's all right. Nothing is wasted at the end. Because in the potter's hands, he is able to make you, remake you, remold you, change you continuously and make sure that you get there. If you have breath in yourself, if you have life in you, God has a plan until you're dead. That plan continues. But make sure you leave a legacy thereafter so that people will talk about you even after you're dead. But God is amazing. God is amazing. Because if you just trust Him, He's amazing. I tell you, He's amazing because of this. Because He made so many people hungry and made so many people starve just to promote Joseph. He made entire Egypt, and not only Egypt, everything around famine so that he could just promote this one man in a foreign land to be the head, and for everybody to know, and for us to talk even now, that He's God. So the God you serve is able to make people resign, chase them out, make companies go bankrupt, put you up there, make all your competitors go blind, and for you to have this chance. Don't get me wrong, I'm not wishing everybody bad luck, okay? That's what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is, if you look at something and say, God, I don't see a way because my competitor has this, my so-and-so has this, that person does that, so I don't see a way to go forward. God can still change it. He would not allow Pharaoh to sleep. Brings this dream, and Joseph says, God has given you this dream twice because He wants to say something and He wants to tell you it's really, really going to happen. So God is saying that if I am to take you to that place, if you make yourself pliable, then I will mold you. I will make you the person so that you can handle the blessing at the end, and I'll make sure it's my duty to promote you at the end. I gave you the promise and I'll take you there. Oh, you got to get excited about this. If God gave you a promise, God will take you to that place. He gave you a promise for your child. He will take you to that place, your child to that place. He will take you. As a church, He has given you a promise. He will take us. He will take us. The only thing that I don't know is the timing. That's in Potter's hands. But one thing I know for sure, He will take us. He's changing things even when we don't see. He's building people up even when we don't see. He's working behind the scenes even when we don't realize. It's the same with each and every one of us. It's the same with the church. Same with us. Our duty as an individual, as a father maybe, as a mother maybe, as a friend maybe, as a brother, sister, or as a church leader maybe, to understand the place where each person is in. And build them up in that place. Build them up in that place. In a way, if there were so many people around Joseph, they would have questioned Joseph and asked, what did you do? Why did you go into this house at this time? Didn't you know that so-and-so was not there? Didn't you know that the other soldiers weren't there? What was happening? We come to that place and build them up there. Because at the end, when you look back, and if you're committed to God, nothing is wasted. We look back at our lives and say, God, time is running out. It will always run out. And sometimes you strive and you want to do things and things don't happen because time in His hands. But that gives you no excuse to just stay and do nothing. Yeah. Your duty is to do your best. Bring excellence. Your duty is to stay focused. Hold on to the promise. Keep pressing forward. Why do I say that? Because I see it in Joseph's life that every person who looked at Joseph saw that he's bringing excellence all the time. At Potiphar's house, he just gets promoted over everybody else because whatever he does it to his best. Things are not going his way, but he knows that he has a promise that one day he'll be in that place. So I give my fullest. In the prison, he's doing his best. He's falsely accused and thrown away, and people are saying all sorts of things, but he's doing his best. I challenge you, do your best. Do your best. Continue to do your best. Continue to be excellent. And in his time, he makes all things beautiful. His time, he makes all things new. So I want to encourage you this evening. Nothing is wasted. You look back and you see, God, I did all these things. It's not there. Oh no. God is using it. He's using all those things. Nothing is wasted. In his hands, he makes all things beautiful. You just stand with me, close your eyes.